the way I see life is through every experience that I have ever had, through every journey, every moment of what I see and feel and touch and smell and taste. And in that moment, it's how my eyes touch my heart, touch my mind, touch my soul, and my being, to then understand how I see it. We have 8 billion plus people on this planet, and each one sees and feels and touches and tastes and experiences life in their unique way. No two people, even twins, triplets, and quads, etc., each one will have a unique matrix that is different to the one next to them. The one born 10 minutes before, 1 minute after. In that tiny moment in time, something makes them unique as well. So we have 8 billion plus people looking at the world and seeing completely different things in each completely different moment. And in that, they will explain and express their experiences and their views and their perspectives and judgments and opinions and ideas based on what they see through time that they have lived through since the moment of birth and before. Because some of our judgments and our ideas and our feelings and emotional baggage and joys, they are found in the womb as well. How I see the world is from a perspective now of 73 years and a bit of life. I have been exceedingly blessed in many, many ways to have chosen parents. Not that I understood it any time earlier on. It took many, many years for me to understand why I had chosen my parents. And I had siblings who really, it was like we didn't even belong together. We were all completely strangers in some ways, a lot of the time. But from very early on, I was being shown to look at the world completely unusually, completely, in many ways, unacceptable. My parents would cringe. My younger brother would often introduce me to somebody and say, "Oh, this is my sister, she's from another planet." And he didn't really even know what he was talking about, but he did on a deep underneath level, because I was different. There are many of us different. We're all different. But sadly, too many follow the norms, the status quo, and the directions that they are shown. And that's why I try and encourage people and my children, if I wish I had known what I know now when I was having my children, because I would have been quite different and being able to help them understand themselves and know themselves, and me raise them as themselves versus me trying to clone or fix or make them into something until I had the great wisdom. It's like, no, you can't do that because that's not who they are. And then appreciate truly who they are. And now I absolutely do, and we work on that. And they see Mom as, "Mom, don't talk to my friends because they don't understand you. You're weird sometimes." To now embracing that, and even their friends sort of know, "Gee, your mom's cool, she's different." And so it's sort of a pride there that mum is different from the other moms. Seeing the world through my eyes has allowed me to view those who are very, very different from me, those who have different beliefs, those who live in different countries, have different cultures, have different ideas, different languages, to have compassion, to have humility, to have curiosity, to want to know who and what and where and why. And there are some that I turn it like, oh no, I don't resonate. And I have to go over that hurdle of why don't I resonate, to be patient and let go of my ego fears and allow them to show me how we're not so different. And no matter who they are, where they are, whether they are very, very, very rich and have a title and all of the trappings that go with that, or they are poor beyond belief, that they are basically slaves in a barrio in the middle of a plantation, and they belong to the owner or the corporation that allows them the humble job or the humble privilege of living in these terrible conditions, to work on sugarcane plantations or banana plantations, or any number of slave-oriented occupations and work that corporations need and often use in other countries without technology, without the big industrial trappings. Like the time I went to Haiti and the Dominican Republic and visited barrios in the middle of sugarcane plantations. And it was the most powerfully humbling, emotionally beautiful, and spiritually awakening and enlivening experience I have ever had. And that is where I truly, truly saw that the people who have absolutely nothing have the greatest power in the belief of that spirit of the divine creative of God by any and all and every name, in every language, in every culture. That their eyes shone, their creativity was filled with light and brightness, and their joy in singing, in gratitude to that which was greater than them, and also in some ways they perhaps blamed for their lot, but it didn't show. The world through my eyes began on another planet, yes, another planet, and then another country in the southern hemisphere. I was born in Australia. And of course, way back in 1949, which was just 3 years after the end of World War II. So I'm in the baby boomers, as they would call. Life was very, very different. And I remember, even from a very young age, knowing where we were on the planet, because geography was taught in schools. We learned all of the countries of the world and where they were located, the capital cities, what they were known for, whether in the southern hemisphere, northern hemisphere, what was their a lot of them, what were their differences and what were their similarities to us. But I always, always felt I was at the end of the earth. It's like, gosh, the land down under. Yeah, we were so far down under that I felt like I was off on a peninsula that was abandoned. And I didn't even realize why, but obviously at 9 years old, I had the understanding when we went on our blessed, in ways that I cannot even tell you, my parents took the four of us. I have two brothers and a sister. I was the eldest, and my younger brother was 2 years old at the time. And we ended up being the only Australian family to travel from Australia across India, into Europe. And when we were in Germany and France and England, 12 years after the end of the war, I witnessed bombed out buildings still had been sitting there. They were still repairing all sorts of things, and demolished. So much was demolished. And the people's resilience. And even at 9 years old, I somehow was being shown what courage and humility and drive and fortitude and persistence were of countries that had lost millions of people, that were invaded and destroyed by people who had no regard except for their own power and money. And the reasons we have for war are never, ever the reasons that they give the public. By and large, and if you do enough research and you've listened to enough information right now in the last several years, you will know that they are about greed and power and amassing as much as physically possible from the bulk, the 99% of the population of the world, so that the elite, those who have the privilege of having and being able to manipulate and steal and cajole and do whatever they do to make their millions and billions and trillions, and say, oh, I'm powerful. I very much beg to differ. From 9 years old, and then in 1961, when I was 12, remarkably, we had a second trip. And it was all because of my father's business, which he was invited by corporations to come and visit, because he happened to have begun and is known as really the father of the electronics industry in Australia, which he started purely by serendipitous circumstances. In the early, 1951, it began. And so he would be invited to Germany and to Japan, because these were big electronics makers way back then. And many of it was expenses paid. And so we were able to go, and he took the family. And I was able to see countries that no one else had seen. And in ways we were seen as an anomaly back then. Where you come from? Where do you come from? I say, Australia. Oh, Austria. No, Australia. Oh, kangaroos. Yes, kangaroos. And that's how Australia was identified. Kangaroos and koalas. And that's what they knew of Australia.